Okay, well, we're going to have to start, ladies and gents. As I say, very well welcome this evening. This is the first, as I said, of many. So quickly then, I'm just going to go over myself, my role and what have you, and then we're going to crack on with Caroline, which is why we're all here really, for the introduction to dance and the basically dance in the new primary PE curriculum. If you do get any questions, if at all possible, if you could sort of hold the thought and hold it to the end, that would be advantageous, because I think it would just be easier all round. Okay, if there's something really important, obviously feel free to ask the question, but otherwise if you could do that, that would be great. Right, I'm just trying to load up the second slide, so just bear with me. Right, so as it said, you can see that there. I'm Rick, I'm the lead consultant for the Primary Sports Premium at Wiltshire and Swindon Sport. Most of you will be familiar with who we are and what we do. If you're not, we are the County Sports Partnership for Wiltshire and Swindon. My role, or one of my roles, is to provide support and advice to the primary schools and to help them improve the quality of the PE and sport activities they offer to pupils. I'm working with and coordinating all the various partners involved in providing primary school sport in the county, and instrumental, for want of a better word, in setting up courses and training for teachers and private coaching providers. And the aim is to encourage a cohesive approach to sports provision in primary schools. Excuse me. If you have any questions, I've mentioned it already this evening about the Primary Sports Premium. I'm more than happy to answer them, but if I can ask you to save them to the end of the webinar, that would be great. As I say, this is a bit of a learning curve for us, but we do intend to do a lot more of these in the foreseeable future, depending on how successful we are with this. Now, there are also many other documents, relevant links to our website that you may wish to visit. Again, some of you may be familiar with that, but it's there in front of you. So that's www.wiltsport.org.uk. Okay, so you've got that there. It's fairly obvious. All right. Yeah, in actual fact, we can just get that up so you can have a quick look at that. So we'll just slide that across over to your screen. Okay, so that's the link once you've come in from our home page, the Primary Sports Premium, and what you'll see is that there's, I'll just get this up here, we've got the introduction, we then have sort of lead documents and what have you down here, latest articles appear here, and this link here will give you a good insight as to what our role is with regard to the Primary Sports Premium. Okay, so we'll go back now to the main slide. So this evening's webinar is the first of its kind, as I said, for us trying to offer training or CPD in various media to support schools with delivering impact of the new curriculum. Now, I do hope ultimately that you enjoy this evening, find it beneficial, and we would appreciate any feedback, positive or negative, preferably positive, because then it will help us develop it for the future. I'm going to hand over to my colleague now, Caroline, and as I say, if you've got any questions, I'll try and answer them best I can at the end.
Right, good evening. My dulcet tones for those of you that know my voice and maybe I work with your school. So if you don't know me, hi, I'm Caroline Dance Lady, and my name has been affectionately given to me by the schools and the children that I work with. I've been delivering dance sessions, fitness sessions, cheer, that kind of thing in schools since about 2006. First started with the West Wiltshire School Sports Partnership, headed up by then Chris Bell. When the changes happened, unfortunately my post was made redundant and I found out I was pregnant on the same day as well, so it was a little bit of a shocker. So knowing that there was hardly any funding and so on available at that point of time, the dance lady was born, and so shortly after I had my little boy, the dance lady started and evolved, and here we are now 4 years later, and all things are going really, really well. I've been in the fitness industry since 1991, and I teach classes still now, Zumba and so forth, and it's my love of teaching dance fitness sessions cheer which has led me into delivering in schools. And it was evident really quickly that dance is not something that people enjoy delivering. I can't understand it. Lots of teachers find it hard to deliver dance and how to find ways around to deliver dance, especially newer teachers and male teachers. And so dance is often seen as something that's either not delivered at all or delivered in a fashion and almost like a sporty dance. So I come into schools and I deliver sessions within curriculum time. So today, for instance, I have been delivering bodies, and we've been looking at bodies, and we've been doing funny bones, also looking at Halloween theme. I also do after school clubs and CPD like tonight that you've all joined us on. And the dance festival, which is one of the biggest things in our area. It's our flagship event. The organisation of that has just started underway now. Last year was the biggest dance festival. We had over 600 audience, and I think it's just about over 400 children for a 2-day event held at the Forum and Bath. So it's a huge platform now that we offer for children within the schools in West Wiltshire to be able to show their expertise of dance and their love of dance. And it's something that we're hoping to build on and promote further. There I am in my little green outfit. I like to dress up, but mostly for the dance festival really. But the kids enjoy it now, so it's all part of the thing. So my collaboration with Wiltshire Active Sport and the Dance Lady, again, started about 4 years ago now, as I said. Yeah. I'm looking at Rik, thinking, when was it we started? I helped during the school games held in Marlborough in last term, and we do various other activities. And we're thinking that perhaps dance and the whole fitness side of activity is something that could be built on and be more opportunities that we could arise from. So as I said, why teach dance? Why should, as teachers and coaches and TAs and so on, why should we be delivering dance in sessions? And how can we look at those sessions and improve what we're delivering? We've got some questions coming up. So,
Caroline can't hear.
Right. If you can't hear, just so you know, this is being recorded as well, so we'll be able to take this out. If you have got any problems at the moment, just make sure that your hand is down. You'll see on your toggle screen that you've got that red hand, flag up hand. So just pop that down a minute, and then if you've got any troubles, put your hand back up, and then we can see if we can sort it out. With your speakers, make sure obviously you've got your speaker on and quickly test your speaker. And with the screen that you should be seeing now is a purple screen saying "Why Teach Dance?" Oh, that's brilliant. It's all sorted. Lovely. And can you hear okay then, Caroline? Again, just send a little message as well. Here we go.
Andrew?
And Andrew. I can hear you now. And like I said, if you can't hear so well, just double check your speakers on your computer. Often as well, I found when I've done these, if you go in through headphones, you might be it might be clearer then.
Just bear with us a sec, ladies and gents. We're just trying to see if Andrew can hear us. We've just sent him a message. choice.
I can hear.
Right, magical. Okay.
Sorry, Andrew, we thought you weren't paying attention. So carrying on from there, and welcome if you just joined us. There's a couple of people who've just joined us. So why teach dance, and why should you be delivering dance within school sessions? Well, I say to you, why not? Dance is such an integral part of expression. It's a powerful means of expression, and especially for children nowadays, there's so many influences that they're under. Dance can be a way for them just to switch off for a while and to really express themselves in their own way. We know as parents, myself included, we encourage our children to participate in dancing at home, in parties, etc. And so it's a really lovely way for them to find themselves in their own personality. Dance is a fundamental means of expression, and it's been with us since time has started, and we know this because we see how celebrations and stories are told and that sort of thing in Aboriginal times and so on, and dance is such an integral part in our history. And so that needs to be taken forth now in what we deliver in schools. Dance within the curriculum can span across all areas. There's lots of talk now of following a creative curriculum, providing a rich and varied learning experience. And the creative curriculum is now commonplace within school. So adding a dance element to that is going to help that creative curriculum. So you can see there, just purely on our physical development side of things, why dance is such an important thing. And it's just fun. When I'm delivering in schools, I will remind the children that with dance, you can't really go wrong. It doesn't matter too much if you're, I don't know, if you've got a move wrong or something like that, unless it's part of an actual show performance piece. But they can express themselves in their own way. So there's no right or wrong with dance. And I find that a lot of children find that quite rewarding and quite comforting, so that, you know, they're not under to make themselves perform well, or they have to score a goal or something like that. It doesn't happen so much in dance. So, like I said, we're working on the creative development within the curriculum, and it's just another way of communicating our ideas and our thoughts, and teaching those thoughts and ideas and those lessons through the dance. Especially if you've got very imaginative children, this will help them really bring themselves out and learn it in a completely different way. With our personal, social and emotional development now very, very important, and again, children are under so many influences now, so just having a simple dance session for them to be able to express themselves in a secure environment is a good learning tool. It helps them interact with new social groups, and especially working with children in dance, they have to work with perhaps friendship groups that they wouldn't normally work with, and for boys they've got to work with girls and they might have to hold a girl's hand, that kind of thing. It just helps with all that personal development of the individual child. It's very thought-provoking when we're teaching dance. They have to question themselves, and they have to find ways of answering questions on how they can develop an idea or portray or an idea. If we're talking about a movement, so for instance today when I was delivering our firework lesson, they had to decide upon a firework, and then they had to decide upon how that firework was going to move from one side of the room to the other. So it was a directional question, where they're going to go up, where they're going to go down, could they move sideways, and so on. And so it's a self-awareness and self-discovery with dance. And like I said, because with dance they can't go wrong, there's no fear of getting it wrong, getting wrong in front of the other children, in front of the teacher. Communication. I find this is one of the biggest things with dance. It's such a valuable way to communicate. Often when we're working with children, we actually speak to them too much sometimes, and we overload them with sensory information. So just by simply having a piece of music on, whether it be chart music or classical music or something like that, and just allowing them to move in the way that the music makes them feel that they should be moving. It's a nice way for them to develop their own awareness of how their body moves and how they can portray that. We can communicate many stimuli through the sounds of the music and words and poems. And in a minute I'll talk about how all parts of the curriculum can be covered within dance. And sounds of music and poem words and that sort of thing are very useful for dance. And we can take one word, again bringing back to the fireworks day, just take one word of, say, pop, and that will have 30 different ways that the children will portray it and how they will communicate that word pop. With dance, it offers a moment that they have to appreciate how other people work and how other people dance, how other people move. And it gives lots and lots of access to observation and appreciation talks. And in all of my lessons we have a show and tell, and half-class show, half-class watch, that sort of thing. And I find this lots and lots of dance. It's a real area to be able to look at other children and see how they perform and the other children, just to show values and concerns and so forth. So planning the dance experience, and this is where I think most people find it a little bit difficult. And one of the questions I get asked a lot is, where do I start? How do I even start? So I would always make sure that you start off with a clear idea, a clear theme and focus. So like I said, today we've done fireworks, but it could be absolutely anything. One of the funniest things I've had to do recently was Islamic civilizations. And I have to say, in the years, all the years that I've been teaching, this is the one that stumped me. I just couldn't work out how I could cover Islamic civilizations. And you'll see in the pictures in the middle, the picture of the screen and the children lying down. So what we did here is we looked at the patterns and the artwork of Islamic history, and we then discovered that within the artwork, Allah, the God, there is always, he's the only person that's perfect, he's the only person that does everything correctly. So in any piece of artwork there's always something wrong. Now unfortunately you can't see it on this screen, but in the picture there's a mistake, one of the dots is out of the way. So through here we looked at patterns, and the children had to make a pattern that was exactly the same, and then one child had to do something that was wrong to represent the skills from the Islamic civilizations. And it worked really, really well. So it's once you've got your theme, once you've got your idea, you're away. And your theme and your ideas will come from absolutely anything. It will come from nature, it will come from books, it will come from poems. I'm a big believer in props. Give children scarves, give children masks, anything like that. The more props that you have, the more ideas that you're going to be able to work from and go with. And the children themselves are absolutely fantastic at creating those ideas and keeping those ideas going. You'll see on the picture the dinosaurs, and that was a lovely one. That was a really, really easy one. What I want to try and get here is different type of movement and how we move. So the huge, great big dinosaur, we thought, right, how would he move? And they decided that he would be a plodding type action, stompy feet, very slow, very heavy. And then, I don't know names of dinosaurs, but the yellow one, I presume, is probably a Tyrannosaurus Rex or something like that. A raptor, yeah, that's it. He's very, very quick, and you'll see that he only moves about on 2 feet rather than 4 feet. So that's how we got our differentiation in movement and our differentiation in styles and our differentiation in quality of movement. And that was a really, really simple tool which helped the children understand about different speeds and movement properties. So that's where your ideas come from, and like I said, they will come from absolutely anywhere. Your learning outcomes, and obviously as teachers you'll know this very much, you want to be very clear on what skills, knowledge and experiences you want the children to achieve from either that lesson or that block of lessons as 6 sessions or whatever you're going to do. And it may be, especially for younger children, be something simple as spatial awareness. We all know it's in Key Stage 1 reception, children find it very difficult to understand their own spatial awareness and how to find space and how not to stand on each other's feet and so forth. So it may be that you just want to improve on spatial awareness, and that can be done in many, many different ways. It may be as you're coming up to your Key Stage 2 in your Year 5 and 6 that you would like them to be able to show a performance at the end and show a piece of dance work with technique and with skill and different elements of dance. So it's just what learning outcome that you want to go from. With dance, I find the fewer learning outcomes there is, the better. Otherwise there's just too much and they can't take it all in, especially if they're unsure of the dance actions themselves or working within dance or doing dance sessions. Type of dance. Now again, this is where I think many teachers can be put off, is that they feel that they should be teaching a specific type of dance. They feel that they should be teaching modern or contemporary or ballet or jazz or street dance. Now I'm a firm believer that actually it's not necessarily the type of dance that they're doing, it's movement to music. And if you want to call it contemporary or modern or street, then that's absolutely brilliant. There's so many different options for children to be able to take up out of school, such as street dance groups and ballet and jazz and that sort of thing, that within school we can just really get them used to movement to music, and then introducing those different styles. Especially things with street dance, I find more and more, well, the exposure that children get from the media, that they feel that all sorts of street dance should be quite almost aggressive, and especially with some of the young girls, some of the movements that you see, you know, it's just all come off YouTube and so on. So I'm a firm believer that they should really just understand how it is, how it feels to move to music, how their body moves and how their body works. So any kind of movement to music is good. If you give it a name, that's great. The stimuli, again, coming from the idea and the theme, and like I said, using all those props, using poems, using books. I spoke earlier about the dance festival. This year's theme is books, and already I know there's schools doing Narnia, Funny Bones, what else? Oh, Wind in the Willows, and I expect Adele Lapham from Hornisham will have her own book ready to go, and so it's just using those ideas and getting those stimuli, and it can be absolutely anything. So like I said, the dance experience can go across all the curriculum. You can have dance and numeracy, looking at lines, curves, right angles, counting the beats of the music, and being able to identify chorus and verse. Dance and science, like I said, we've been learning about the body today in the school that I've been working at, and looking at how the heart works, and we developed a whole heart and lung dance. It's just introducing the dance into the shared knowledge and understanding, and like I said, with the science one, we looked at the life processes, forces, motions, the life cycles of the mini beasts. The dance experience also comes alongside dance and PE, and often I find that there's almost like two sides to dance and PE, especially when I'm teaching in secondary school. You get dance and PE as in very sporty type dance. So in Year 7 they always teach sport themed dance. So they take a sport, basketball, hockey, football, whatever it might be, and then develop that into a dance idea, and it comes out very, very dancey, very, very sporty. And then there's the other extreme where it goes almost contemporary. Now, if the children are coming into Year 7 in their primary and they haven't done that much dance from their if they're going to Year 7 from their secondary school and they haven't done that much dance in their primary, it can be really, really confusing for them because they just haven't got those basic experiences of dance and a basic experience of how to move their body. So it can be quite daunting for them. So all the different things that you can implement now across the curriculum will help them when they're getting into their next year. Like I said, often in dance, I always say there's no wrong thing about dance. There's no wrong way of doing it. Because of this, it's the self-exploration of dance, which I find works really, really well. No one movement will ever be the same again because it's an instant moment in time.
Is Lou just joined?
Yeah. So that's why dance is so important, and getting that experience at the first time, how we can keep the dance experience going throughout the years. So I hope that's given you some ideas of how you can bring dance across your curriculum and how you can include it into your sessions. So getting into the sort of nuts and bolts of the dance experience and helping put it together, again, especially for teachers that have limited experience of it, limited sort of knowledge. Again, male teachers I find just really steer away from dance because they don't feel that they'll be able to put it all together, and they feel that perhaps they can't do dance themselves. So first of all, I always just bring it down to what will initiate the movement. It's always really handy to get a start position. A start position, a fundamental start position, will give you the bones, if you like, to the whole process. And then you can go into the finer things like actions, dynamics, spatial awareness, relationship of dance with each other, or relationship with props or around the room. And pulling on all these different things will then help to create a whole dance action, a whole dance motif. Setting developmental tasks. Now, again, just starting off in Key Stage 1, I just do really, really simple things, from a basic walk into almost like a chassé where they're doing like a little double step or like a cha-cha move, and just moving around the room without bumping into each other, moving around the room and then coming down onto the floor to a roll position and then coming back up off the floor nice and easy. And it's these sort of fundamental movements that we can do in many, many different ways, many, many different drills in dance, and just in just simple activities and just like little warm-ups. You can find from observations from the rest of the class, DVDs and YouTube is a brilliant way to get ideas of how to get a dance started. And the children, like I said, will have their own ideas of how to get things moving, so obviously use those. Today, when, like I said, we've been looking at fireworks, we started off with a bonfire. And so I had them seated in a circle to look like a bonfire. And then in a cannon formation, and cannon, for those of you who may not be sure, would be one by one by one. They had to come up and do like a fire or a flame type movement. And then from that initial start position, they then moved out like a firework into an area. And then from there, they did a set piece that I taught them. Then they had to create their own firework. Then it came back to my set piece, and then it finished back in the bonfire circle. So it was quite clear from the children what they had to do. It was their start position, my lead routine, their little firework sequence that they created, and then back into the bonfire circle. So we used lots and lots of those elements. We used the action dynamic and so on. And the children have been able to map this over, or I've done it about 4 or 5 sessions now. And that task, as you said, we've just added layers and different actions and so forth to it. And it's just given it more meats and bones to it every week. And so now on our 4th week, we've got that nice overall structure, and they've actually got a nice little finished performance that they'll be able to video and show the rest of the school. Okay, music, the dreaded music. So I think this is probably a question I get asked a lot, as well as how can I create dance, how can I get started? Well, why use music? well, why not, again, encourages expression. We know it stimulates the brain, and we know it stimulates children. For those of you that may be delivering Wake and Shake in schools, we know how much they enjoy jigging about and doing a little dance exercise before they go into learning, and we know that this can actually help stimulate their learning and how they absorb information. So we know that music is really an integral part of teaching and should be used, but also be used wisely. I have certain bits of music I use all the time, and then I have some music that I only use occasionally, and often I don't even use music at all for some parts of the class. So it's dipping in and out of that. Also, as it says there, it says can be incorporated as a class management tool, and one of the nicest things that I use is the countdown music. So if I need them to get into a space and they're finding it difficult to get there without bashing into each other or without getting waylaid or without getting there too quickly, we put the old countdown music on. So do-do-do-do-do-do-do, and then they know, then they've got an understanding that that's an 8 count beat to get to their new position. So you can use your music in many, many different ways. Now, as the music itself, there are so many resources that you can use. So obviously iTunes and Spotify and other music systems are available, I imagine.
They are.
And that's absolutely endless. TV anthems I find are really, really helpful, classical music. And then things like New World, that's a really great area to get into. Often with New World, there's not any particular words to it, or there may be just some underlying words, and there's no sort of any particular strong theme, which is quite handy when working with children, because we know the pitfalls of using popular music in music that you'll find in the charts and so on, as even though you think you've got the clean version, there's always that one dodgy word that comes up, or the song has a completely different connotation to it than you were aware of. So New World music and that sort of thing is a way to go. Now, putting my fitness instructor hat on, we have to have licenses to be able to play music into classes and so on. Now, the licenses are completely different within schools, and it's such a grey area, and I must admit I'm not all that clear on it. And I imagine it's something that probably will raise its head, especially in the fitness world. We have to have the different licenses. So just be careful where you are using your music. Make sure it's only within a school environment, and also be careful of how you're transferring that music. For instance, in the dance festival, we have to pay a license fee for that music to be used onto a DVD, and then also for the performance rights. So it's a bit of a grey area, and like I said, I'm not very clear of it myself. It's something that perhaps we need to go into. The other two resources there, if you've not ever heard of them, Mr. Scruff and Lemon Jelly, absolutely brilliant. Lemon Jelly do a Spaceman piece of music, which I've used probably continuously since 2006. Very atmospheric music. So well worth sitting down one night and just Googling their pieces of music. But like I said, just listen to it carefully. You don't want to get yourself into a situation. But music, very, very important. And once you've got the right piece of music, you'll find that the children will really engage there, and that will make the whole dance performance or the dance piece of work or whatever you're doing, it will just flow in nicely. I'm finding more so now that I'm mixing music a lot more. Like I said, with the dance festival, one of the schools are doing Narnia. So I'm clipping bits of Narnia music. So it's a good thing to be able to learn. Definitely worth, again, sitting down and just downloading one of the music cutting, what are they called? Editing suites, yeah. And you can take clips of music and put them together into one thing. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's me. I didn't realise I'd finished. Well, I was getting so much into it. So I hope from the dance lady, I hope that's sort of given you my passion that I've got for teaching and delivering dance within schools. And I hope I've been able to convey the importance of dance. And it shouldn't be just something that you do occasionally. and it shouldn't be just something that you put on a bit of music and you say to the kids, right, here you are, design a routine, or watch this DVD and we're going to design a routine from it. It's an integral part of our teaching. It can be an integral part of their learning experience, and it can be used, like I said, across the curriculum, so and a really important tool. It came down to me the other day. It was a very interesting comment. I've been working in a new school with a very experienced head, and she, at the end of my 6 weeks there, we just did a bit of a debrief and how to get on, and she admitted, she said, even though I knew the children would enjoy their sessions with you, she said, even I didn't expect that the engagement in the children they had was to the depth that they've had it, and how the sessions were enjoyed by all of them. And it was just lovely. She said the Wednesday or the Tuesdays the kids were on about, oh, it's Dance Lady Day tomorrow, because I had each class in for the whole day, so worked for each single class within that school. And it, like I said, she's an experienced head, and even she hadn't thought the impact it would have. So it was interesting. It was good. So, like I said, hopefully you'll be a little bit more inspired and be able to put together some dance sessions with across your cross-curriculum and be able to inspire other people within school who may not be confident within teaching dance sessions. We were just talking earlier before about different courses and CPD for teachers, and we wonder if it's something that we as the Dance Lady and with WASP should be doing more of. So we'll probably get you to give us some feedback that would a CPD training day be something that you'd be interested in, where you come in and you actually learn the skills, like I said, going back to how you put a dance experience together and a dance session. Would that be something that would be helpful for you to actually learn how to put it all together, especially if dance is something you don't do a lot of, but you appreciate the importance of it and think it's something that you would like to do more. Right, I will hand you back to Rik now, who will go a little bit more into the curriculum side of things.
Right, just swapping seats in the hot seat now. Okay, so I'm just going to finish up then, so if you could just bear with me. I think we're doing fairly well for time. As far as we go here at Wiltshire and Swindon Sport with information support, you can see there in front of you what we've just started doing is the bi-monthly e-newsletter. The first one went out a couple of weeks ago, and it is just one page, and that does go to all primaries in the county, so the head would have received that. Following on from that, we've got the Primary Sports Premium brochure. Now that's just gone off to be proofed and what have you. And that basically contains all the information that we've received, and it also contains the latest information from the Ofsted survey that's just been completed, which reflects all the sort of data and intelligence gathering from the first year of the premium. So we've included that in there. I've already mentioned website links, information available. You're here on the webinar, it's the first one, and many thanks for that. Cluster meetings that we try to attend as many as we can, as and when we're invited. Just basically there to offer support, answer any questions if the need arises. Same with the heads of PE. And as I say about calling partners, we work very closely with the YST, Youth Sports Trust, AFP, Sports Leaders UK, to name but a few. Coordinating teacher CPD courses, workshops, and finally the coaching database, Right Coach, which you may or may not be familiar with, but that is the county's database for coaches, where you can basically look up coaches, find out, for any particular activity you're looking at, and it will tell you what they're qualified in and if they've met all the minimum standards for deployment. Just going to move on now. We're pretty much there. So it's finishing up. All our contact details are there. As you can see, there's my email. But again, if you go into the website, you can get all of that. And again, you've got Caroline's details there. So if you want to take a moment if you want to jot those down. Having said that, what we will do after the seminar, the webinar, well, over the next 24 hours, we will email you with a sort of short evaluation questionnaire, and we would appreciate if you could fill that in just to give us some idea of how you thought the webinar's gone, etc., etc. And all of those contact details will be attached to that. And finally, we've got that this has been recorded. We have recorded the webinar, so if you would like the link or a copy of that, we'd be more than happy to send that over to you. And I think if you've got any questions, now is the time. We'll see if any come through before we wish you good night, because we don't want to rush off. I think, I'm not sure if you're all familiar with how that works. We've dragged it over now onto your main screen. So you can go into the chat there. So if you want to put anything in there, please feel free to do so. If not, we hope you've enjoyed the session. And let's just see. Oh, here we go. Okay, we've got a couple questions, so just bear with us here.
So I'll read it out. So the national curriculum gives very little advice on teaching dance. It certainly does, which I think discourages teaching from teaching dance yet. Also, there are many schemes of work for many of the aspects of physical education. We have a skills-based curriculum at school. Are there any resources to give ideas and examples of skills and or lessons in dance that can be developed into a series of lessons? Yeah, that's from Caroline. Yeah, good question, Caroline. Absolutely. I don't get it. I really do not get why dance doesn't have the same sort of systems in place within the national curriculum as does the sports side of things. And I'm looking at the curriculum itself here, and there's 3 lines in reference to dance. So yeah, it's not right, and it's such an important thing, especially as we are very much in a creative industry, a creative society, and it's something like, and I'll get this right, the top 10% of jobs within the UK come from a creative background. So if you are into architecture, if you're a builder, landscaping, anything like that, and this goes on before we've got into website design and computer and all that sort of thing, they need to come from a creative background. So if they're not being taught how to operate creatively and use dance, then how are we going to help them into their careers? So with the resources, ideas, examples and so on of lessons, then absolutely I can help you with that. If you go on to my website, www.thedancelady.com, there's some resources on there with some very simple lesson plans, London's Burning, motion transport, that kind of thing. And there are an array of different providers that do different lesson plans for dance and for different themes, and it will give you that sort of start position and how to get yourself going and then carry on from there. But like I said, Caroline, if you can see my email, Caroline at the Dance Lady, yeah, if you can see my email, then email me anything that you've got, any questions at all, or any subjects that you want some answers for, as long as it's not Islamic civilizations again. I'll happily try and give you as many answers as I can to that, so I hope that's helped. And coming in from Andrew, is there a recommended scheme of work for dance to cover reception to year 6? Right, again, Andrew, from my understanding, there was the Enfield scheme of work among others. If it's recommended, now let's say I'm going to be careful because I'm in a slightly grey area. No, I don't think there is a specific recommended scheme of work. However, if you know different, please jump in and tell me if you're a teacher. Adele, you might be able to answer that question a bit better than myself. So no, there's not one recommended scheme of work. And like I said, it's because No one seems to pick up on dance. Why that is, not sure. But again, as I said before, email me your Pacific theme, and I will certainly give you as much knowledge as I've got about it. So, are PE subject leaders accountable to Ofsted for spending of the sports premium money? Right. Okay,
no,
Rick, that's you.
And fortunately or unfortunately, that does fall to the head. But of course, I'm sure they would collaborate and work closely with their PE subject leaders. But no, ultimately, the responsibility does end with the head. Yes.
On that note, let's say, Rick, I'm coming in as an independent supplier for schools, and TAs and so on will ask me about it. So what's the main rules about the new premium now? So how much money do they get?
Well, it does depend on how big the school is. On average, in this county, it's between £8,000 and £9,500 paid, two lumps, 2 different periods. It's quite open as to what it can be spent on, and I think most schools will be aware of that. It's quite diverse, but it is ring-fenced for sport, health, well-being, that kind of thing.
And it is accountable though as well?
Yeah, most definitely, yeah. And it is now part of the Ofsted inspection, as I'm sure most of you are aware of. And as it's rolled out over the last year, what's happened, the Ofsted inspectors are being retrained to a certain degree to ensure that the fund or the sports premium is looked into when the Ofsted inspections are carried out. So there has been some retraining go on about that. Just bear with us a second, guys.
Just double checking. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry if you're looking at that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if anyone's got any other questions. One thing I will say that has come up is about the funding. At the moment, the current government are saying that is going to be in place to 2020 now. Obviously, that is subject to the elections in May. But the indications are that the funding would still remain in some sort of shape or form, up to that time. But again, nothing is set in stone. But that is a question that we do get asked from time to time. So let's watch this space.
Yeah, very much so. So if there aren't any more questions, I think probably what we'll do is we'll bring that to an end today. So first of all, I'd like to say on my behalf, thank you very much for joining in tonight. I hope you enjoyed being able to watch us from your comfort of your own sofa with your glass of wine or cup of tea, whatever it might have been. And it's important that we're able to do these, so it's really good.
And we've got a couple.
An influx of questions.
Thank you very much, Wendy. And Andrew, we've got another question for Caroline.
Caroline, when do we need to sign our book choice for the dance festival? I think it's got to be in before, I think it's December the 15th, Andrew, but Selwyn just sent out an email this week. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll catch up with you and make sure you've got that email, Andrew.
Okay, I think that about wraps it up then, ladies and gents. Thank you, that's fine. Thank you, Andrew. If you do think of anything after the event, please feel free to drop us an email and we will get back to you, as they say. Otherwise, as I say, we will be sending out a short survey and the link for this so you can download it and all our contact details. But please feel free to have a little glance at our website as and when, and you'll find there's a lot of information there. And as I say, the guidance booklet is coming your way. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good
night.
evening.
Thank you.